Hello and welcome to Break Even by Breakfast on the accounting channel with me, Mark Sweetman. On this show, we interview successful startup founders and ask them how their entrepreneurial journey is going. My guest today is Allen Wixted. He's the founder of No Place Like, or also called Plop. Plop creates augmented reality experiences for the homeware industry, and its content enables shoppers to see items in their home before buying them. So let me introduce you all to Allen. Hi Allen, thanks for coming on the show. How are you doing?
Thanks so much, Mark. Great to be here. Appreciate not doing great. So not sure about successful yet, but it definitely feels like pending. So
pending success. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. I appreciate it. I did my final year project in immersive retail technology, and then I decided, I actually really like building apps. I'm going to do a master's in app building and augmented reality. So then after college and after my master's was finished, I kind of figured out like, I love AR, I love apps. It's not kind of the classic startup founder of, I saw this massive problem and I figured out how to fix it. I was more like, I'm really passionate about this, niche segment of technology. What can I do with it? So looking back on my final year project, I was like, the retail space is really interesting, fairly undigitized. And then from doing a load of market research, and thanks to the helps of Enterprise Ireland and their teams as well, figured out that homeware was a big headache in terms of digitization. Most products are bought in stores still, so figured that this would be a really interesting avenue to go down.
So is this about bringing the store to people's homes? So are they purchasing homeware in their home? And like I can't imagine, like, is it like you see a cooker and you can see it in augmented reality, or am I getting
No, you're on the right gist. So sometimes people think that you're bringing your house to the store, but it's the opposite. You're bringing the store to your house. Absolutely. Okay. You're sitting at home and you're browsing through Facebook or browsing through websites, and you click on a button on one of our retailers' websites, and hey presto, you've got a table, a chairs, a sofa in your house, and you can drag it around and see what it would look like if you were to buy it. At the start, I was very much into the kind of bootstrap mentality, and I think I had a healthy dose of skepticism towards like raising investment and funding. Like it seemed so out of, like, I came into this with zero business experience. I could operate Photoshop, and that was about it. So in terms of like going for funding, it just seemed like something just for Silicon Valley, basically. So I kind of eventually started going through New Frontiers, got onto phase 2 of that. So that was kind of my initial funding roadmap, was that kind of grant funding from Enterprise Ireland mixed with kind of local enterprise office. And then last year we were awarded CSF, Competitive Start Fund. So that was kind of a nice bit of kind of, suppose, proper investment for Enterprise Ireland. And and now since then, my mindset's definitely changed. I've got a much clear vision about where I want to kind of take the business, where it can go, and I suppose I'm in a transition period this year in terms of breaking out of that bootstrap mentality and kind of going for growth. So that's kind of where I am right now. I was trying to grow my sales process, hired a lead gen team last year, and it was a disaster in terms of, it basically just might as well just lit $5,000 on fire, basically. So it would have done more for me, at least with a bit of warmth. But so like, I mean, when you kind of start transitioning, and like you're going to get those kind of kickbacks, and you're going to it's all about wins and losses. Everyone looks at the wins in hindsight, but some of those losses can be hard to deal with early on in terms of making that transition and saying, that didn't work. And it's just, I suppose, it's the classic thing is like, can you fail quickly, and can you make sensible mistakes and not make the same mistakes again, basically. So that's kind of what I'd say to anyone in the same spot is, like, I mean, for me, I'm kind of prioritizing paying for speed as well. So anything that I can spend my money on that will help me move a little bit quicker and just kind of get that optimization a bit, further, and grow our monthly recurring revenue quicker, I think is just going to go straight to top of mind for me. Well, firstly, our stuff runs entirely on smartphones, so we don't actually. There's no hardware at all. So for the shopper at home, it just runs in their pocket. It runs on their web. They don't need an app to download it. and anything that we're doing on social, literally directly opens up the Instagram camera or the Facebook camera and launches it there. So there's no accidental, which is like the big change. Going back then in terms of like MVP, when I started this, that was not actually a possibility. Like social AR didn't really exist, apart from like niche things in Snapchat, like kind of the dog ears filter in Snapchat. So I think when I started my MVP, it was like AR Kit had literally just launched. I had spent months messing around with these weird niche AR SDKs on Android, and it was a complete headache. But when Apple launched the AR Kit, it was an amazing experience to be able to develop for that. So like our MVP was literally me teaching myself to code Swift on YouTube tutorials, and launched that in a few months. Was one of the first apps. Yeah, I think probably one of the first apps in Ireland to have it. Got to like top 50 in the shopping apps, and it was still an unmitigated disaster because none of the retailers really wanted apps at that stage. They didn't know how to embrace app technology. So that's when we pivoted then towards Atlas the next year. That was last year. So I think I started paying myself last year, and I actually waited until like December to just pay myself for the year at the minimum wage, basically, for the whole go. Because I was, me being skeptical and like being completely willing to live off rice and noodles for the entire year is completely fine. So I was just kind of like waiting until the end of the year to see like, all right, how it went. I mean, like luckily we had a really strong year in terms of once we got going, which is really good. So even then though, it's still super lean since then. So I don't really have launches for anything, even like the rebranding that we were discussing or just discussed about Plop coming from No Place Like. It's I think just every day is launch day, like or every week is launch week. You should have a new feature, you should be pushing something, you should be testing, and that's kind of my internal mentality of that. And
what do you do for a launch? Do you send an email out to all your users or
yeah, so like oftentimes we'll have like emails that we'll release to customers, or and then, I mean, like we're meeting with our customers most weeks anyway, so like with they're it's a pretty kind of like one-to-one relationship that we have right now. But as obviously as we grow as a SaaS company, it's not going to stay that way. So bringing that kind of automation into it, again, paying for speed. So I suppose in terms of shoppers, is it?
So people using the software, and then I guess like how many stores are actually, obviously they're your customers, so how many of them are?
Yeah. So like we have around about 5 or 6 customers on board at the moment. Okay. In terms of shoppers, it kind of it ranges wildly. Depending, like I mean, the last year has been a crazy year in terms of usage. So I mean, typically like one of our, like let's say our smaller e-tech clients, like one of those kind of clients might get 3,000 or 4,000 users a month shopping with them. So, and then maybe some of our bigger clients maybe around 10,000 a month. Interesting. I think it's for us in terms of mentality. I think medium term, like short term bad, long term excellent. Geo, like I think a lot of kind of like heads went down at the start of coronavirus when like stores got closed, didn't really know what to do. Everything got cut back, no matter what it was, whether it was like really well performing Facebook ads and ad budget got cut back. So I think a lot of reports have come out around retailers kind of winning after doubling down on their digital aspects. And we're seeing some of our clients come back to us again for more. And I think it's just after that kind of panic mode, wore off, that a lot of retailers started to see like, all right, what do we actually need to do here? And that's totally understandable. I mean, in terms of the usage, like we saw some of our smaller clients have their usage triple over the course of March and April. So getting much more bang for buck in terms of the same service that a few months back. Basically 2 sides of our platform. We have for retailers who don't have any 3D content, we designed the 3D content for them on a per item design basis. And then for most retailers that we work with, we have a 3D viewer that we launch on their website. Very simple. It's literally just a button on their website that enables their customers to shop remotely using AR. And also that's all wrapped up in a SaaS model, as well as launching on Facebook and Instagram. Just about to launch a dashboard that will let you see. So we've been working with Professor Thomas Ward from DCU Insights Academy, and basically we've got like a proprietary algorithm that we've used based on some of our existing clients' Google Analytics data that let us kind of plug in like, all right, how many stores do you have? What's your existing e-commerce conversion rate? And we'll come up with like a predicted revenue that you'll get every month based on that algorithm and based on the amount of usage you get multiplied by product prices and all that stuff. So we'll be able to predict, that kind of, and it's just about that omni-channel focus as well. Like a lot of our retailers, have physical stores, and it's super hard to track what happens in physical stores compared to online. Elon's got to be in it,
yeah. Big fan of Elon too, actually.
Oh my God, yeah, the Tesla stock is beautiful. So, so I think like a healthy mix of Elon, and then, I think you need the math person, you need the creative person, and I think you need just the person that brings focus to the whole thing, and that's kind of like whoever those three people are for everyone. I think that's probably the three things. And maybe those three mindsets happen internally for you as well. So I suppose we try to be as agile as possible with feature requests and kind of take as much stuff on board as possible. Oftentimes I think feature requests come to us kind of in the form of confusion almost, because it's such a new industry. It's a new media type. So it's like, instead of it's like going from radio to TV for 80 years ago, basically. Yeah. And there's going to be a whole host of questions that that we haven't come up with, that our retailers haven't come across yet. So I think it's just about being agile and trying to figure out, all right, what part of this process are they confused about, or could be cleared, what haven't we articulated well, and there's a whole host of research coming out in terms of like the effectiveness of AR content. So I think about trying to build case studies with them and be like, hey, look, this is working, this isn't working, let's try this. So it's a real kind of one-to-one approach that we take with our customers, and saying like everyone's website's different, everyone's user base is different, everyone's products are different. So oftentimes we build things in a slightly different way for each retailer. Yeah, for us, like as a SaaS company, it's obviously like monthly recurring revenue is our big one for sure. Like things like churn rate and like any add-on, because we're building so many new features now at this stage as well. And the industry itself, AR has like literally since 2017, for probably 3 to 4 months is like some major new thing that you need to pay attention to. At least me as a company owner in the space. So having like add-ons as a major kind of focus there, and like what new features can we build, launch, iterate on, and get to market, and get making revenue for us is really interesting. So I think like social AR for us has been a massive one for us this year.
Oh, okay. Thanks very much, Alan. I found that really insightful, and I can't wait to use it myself because I'm actually looking at a home at the moment. So I'll be using that app for sure. So it's getpop.com is where you can check out Alan's product if you are looking to refurnish your home. Alan, thanks very much for coming on the show.